The top stories tonight in Y News. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. directs the National Anti-Poverty Commission to keep their ears open to combat and accelerate poverty reduction in the country. Several lawmakers expressed satisfaction as PBBM marked his first year in office today, urging the president to consider appointing permanent agriculture secretary. Some labor groups push for the 150 pesos legislated wage increase after the recent approval of an additional 40 pesos to NCR's daily minimum salary for workers. And more than 400 people were arrested as violent unrest sweeps France over the fatal police shooting of a 17-year-old lad that was captured on video. Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Friday, the 30th of June, 2023. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am William Theo. First in the news, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. directed the National Anti-Poverty Commission to keep their ears open to address the problems of poverty in the country. Nel Maribok reports.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. led today, June 30, the first National Anti-Poverty Commission or NAPC Bank meeting under his administration in Malacanang. According to Malacanang, discussed in the meeting are the alignment of all development plans to the Philippine Development Plan 2023 to 2028, formulation of the National Poverty Action Agenda, National Poverty Reduction Plan comprising of adequate housing, decent work, adequate food, highest attainable standard of health, and relevant and quality education. President Marcos stresses the importance of identifying local communities that are most in need and the sectors that are most disenfranchised, as well as NAPC engaging with the concerned government agencies to synchronize the appropriate programs and services that will be provided. PBBM directs the NAPC to keep their ears open by listening to local government officials since they know the problems in their respective communities and will offer or suggest solutions. He explained that the local government unit inputs can then be used to identify the critical elements that the national government needs to attend to. The National Anti-Poverty Commission serves as the coordinating and advisory body in the implementation of the social reform agenda. It exercises oversight functions in the incorporation of anti-poverty strategies and programs in national, regional, sub-regional, and local development plans. Nel Maribuho, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
A labor group has challenged the administration of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to prioritize laws that will promote the benefits of workers in the country. According to the Kilusang Mayo Uno, many laws regarding workers' benefits have been proposed in the Congress and Senate, but they have not been a priority for the administration. One key concern is the national minimum wage of 1,110 pesos. The recent approval of an additional 40 pesos to the daily minimum wage for workers by the National Capital Region Wage Board in Metro Manila was met with resistance from workers before its approval. The labor group also demands a wage increase for other regions in the country.
Aming kahilingan sa kanya, gawin niyang priority din dahil kung hindi, sa susunod na 5 taon, mas matindi ang aming pagkilos na gagawin laban sa kanya. Dahil alam namin na hindi siya naglingkod ang mga magagawang Pilipino.
Some labor groups denounced the government for the alleged very low wage increase, particularly in the National Capital Region or NCR. Dante Amento tells us why.
40 pesos wage increase in the National Capital Region approved by the tripartite Wages and Productivity Board is way below the 150 pesos wage hike petitions filed by several labor groups. It can allegedly buy a kilo of irregular milled rice.
Hindi kami nanghihingi ng balato sa kanya. Ang kailangan ng mga manggagawa ay yung nakabubuhay na sahod. Hindi 40 pesos.
Hence, labor groups will support some bills pending before the Congress to have at least a 150 pesos wage hike across the board. Even Senator Aquilino Coco Pimentel III urges the wage board in different regions to implement fair wage increase.
Dapat hindi na per region. Dapat ito ay nationwide, across the board. Dapat pagpare-parehohin na ang sahod ng mga manggagawa sa Maynila at saka doon sa mga taga-probinsya dahil pareho-pareho lang naman ang presyo ng bilihin, yung interest rate.
Meanwhile, Sir Percival Peña Reyes, Director of the Ateneo Center for Economic Research and Development, said the wage increase should be balanced with the current economic situation of the country. It is not easily be approved without proper consideration such as of our resources and productivity.
Ano yung ating resources? Marami tayong binabayarang mga utang, minamanage din yun. Then at the same time, we want our economy to continue growing. Delicate balancing, hindi madali yung gawin yan.
Dante Abento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
National Housing Authority or NHA General Manager Joe Bentay believes that the agency's charter will be renewed. According to the official, there are currently 6 bills in Congress that advocate for the continuation of NHA's existence. NHA was created in July 1975 through Presidential Decree 757 by then President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Senior. The agency's mandate initially specified a 50-year existence but can potentially be extended.
I am confident na may renew po with the support of the House of Representatives and the Senate, especially po with the support of our President Bongbong Marcos.
Employees of NHA are concerned about the future of their livelihood in 2025 if the charter is not extended.
Ang kinatatakutan namin ay ang malawakang pagkawalan ng trabaho ng mahigit 2,000 mga empleyado ng National Housing Authority. Siyempre, pag nawala si charter, mawawala na rin po ng kumbaga soul na production arm ng housing.
Yevgeny Prigozhin's Wagner Group continues to recruit members after their failed mutiny, signing contracts to join the force. Jane Robles will give us the details live. Good evening, Jane.
Good evening, Kathy. Despite mutiny being declared, which resulted in Russian President Vladimir Putin hinting at the start of a civil war, recruitments of the Wagner Group is still occurring. The long list of desired recruits are mainly contacted through fight clubs, martial arts schools, and boxing clubs, and were informed that they were signing up for the mercenary group and not the Russian force. All groups are required to have contracts signed according to the Russian Defense Ministry, the Russian politician Andrei Kartapolov. As of late, the contracts for the Wagner Group last for 6 months with a salary of 240,000 rubles a month. Meanwhile, Russian prisons, which was a prime source for the Wagner Group, has now only been restricted for the Russian Defense Ministry recruits, a law signed by President Putin himself. Back to you, Kathy.
Thank you, Jane Robles, for that live report. More than 400 people have been arrested across France in a third night of violent protests triggered by fatal police shooting of a teenage boy. Charisse Longbowen will tell us why.
Thousands of people marched in the streets demanding justice for Niall, a 17-year-old boy who was allegedly shot at a point-blank range by a police officer during a traffic stop Tuesday, June 27. According to Paris Police Chief Laurent Nunez, the police officer involved used his firearm when the teenager refused to comply. Captured in a video, the teenager's shooting triggered anger across the country as the police officer had been put under investigation for voluntary homicide. In the third night of the protest following the police brutality, more than 400 people were arrested amidst the violent confrontation between protesters and police force. Schools, police stations, town halls, and a bank were set on fire in various cities, while protesters threw fireworks at police officers. The Interior Minister have deployed 40,000 police force across the country to control the disturbances, including 5,000 in Paris. Meanwhile, French President Emmanuel Macron held a crisis meeting. He described the shooting as unjustifiable and calls for calm to carry out justice. Charisse Longbowen, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
We'll share more global stories with you later, but for now, back to you, William.
For those watching our live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. Several lawmakers expressed their satisfaction as President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. marked his first year in office today, June 30. Senate President Juan Miguel Mig-Zubiri gives the president a high score, noting the challenges his administration had to face, including inflation.
Oh, I think he's doing a very fine job. If you ask me for a grade, 8 out of 10. I give the President 8 out of 10. Number one, napakasipag niya. He's doing his best. He's doing his best. Kaya dapat suportahan natin ng ating Pangulo.
However, Zubiri believes the president should focus more on agriculture sector, rural development, and wage increase. Meanwhile, Senators Loren Legarda and Sani Angara hope that the president's official visits will bring in more investments to the country.
Maybe like an 87. Yeah. Still a lot to do kasi majority, that's only 1/6 of his term, di ba? So, 5 more years. Tsaka, syempre, yung ibang member ng kabinete na bago, may learning curve din yun, di ba? I think tuloy lang niya yung pag-promote niya ng Pilipinas as a investment destination kasi marami talagang naghahanap ng mapaglagyan ng matayuan ng pabrika, ganon, dahil sa nangyayari sa daigdig ngayon.
Other senators also called the president's performance very good, crediting the administration's post-pandemic recovery efforts. However, Senate Minority Leader Aquilino Coco Pimentel believes the president has not made progress in addressing the problems hounding the agriculture sector. With this, the minority senator believes the chief executive should now consider appointing a regular agriculture secretary. Senator Jinggoy Estrada also shares the same sentiment.
Not because he is my president, not because I run under his ticket. I am fully satisfied by his performance. Kasi syempre bilang presidente, marami ka ng problema, marami kang trabaho, tapos aasikasuhin mo pa isang departamento. No? Kailangan siguro mag-appoint na siya ng permanent Secretary of Agriculture.
The Philippine National Railways train sets used in Metro Manila will be transferred in southern Luzon once stations in Metro Manila start to halt operations. JP Nunez will tell us why.
The Philippine National Railways or PNR stated that when stations in Metro Manila start to halt to give way for the construction of North to South Commuter Railway or NSCR project, train sets traveling in Metro Manila will be transferred to southern Luzon. These train sets will be used in stations from Laguna to the Bicol region. This year, PNR has announced that tracks and bridges from Lucena City to Naga in Bicol are expected to be fixed.
Ang mga baguno natin na ginagamit ko sa Metro Manila, kapag huminto na po ang biyahe ng Metro Manila, ay dadalhin po natin sa South. Doon naman po natin sisimulan ang biyahe para sa ating mga pasahero.
On July 3, the route from Alabang in Muntinlupa up to Calamba, Laguna will start to halt operations. According to PNR, this halt will last for about 5 years during the entire construction period of NSCR. It is expected that more than 2,000 passengers of the PNR on a daily basis will be affected by this halt. However, PNR assures their regular commuters that once the NSCR project is completed, it will be more comfortable to take a train ride.
Ito pong ginagawa po natin ay kinakailangan po natin gawin upang magbigay daan sa mas maayos, mas modelo, mas sistematiko at mas komportableng biyahe po mula Clark diretso hanggang Calamba po.
The NSCR project is a 147-kilometer railway system intended to extend the PNR from Laguna to Clark, Pampanga. The estimated travel time could be cut to about 2 to 3 hours. JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of Social Welfare and Development, in collaboration with the Metro Manila Council, Metro Manila Development Authority, and Commission on Human Rights, will conduct reach-out operations to street dwellers on Monday, July 3. Through its program, Oplan Pag-abot, the agency will provide intervention programs including medical assistance, financial assistance, and the issuance of identification cards and biometric administration.
There are cases na today Juan de la Cruz ako, tomorrow iba na ang pangalan ko. So with the biometrics, that will help us identify the individuals clearly.
DSWD Secretary Rex Gatchalian and MMC Chair Mayor Francis Zamora of San Juan City state that the reach-out operations will be conducted regularly, contrary to previous operations that only began during the holiday season.
Meron lang temporary facilities para sa kanila. Ngunit ang tanong, pagkatapos nun, what happens? This program answers now what happens. It's going to be a regular program sa departamento. Hindi siya yung tipong pag may, pag malapit na yung Pasko.
The United States Supreme Court issued ruling of officially ending considerations of race and ethnicity as factor among students in university admissions. Maven Carrizo details us why.
The Supreme Court had issued a decision that came out Thursday where race can no longer be considered as a factor in university admissions. The ruling covered 2 cases involving admissions at Harvard and University of North Carolina, representative of both public and private universities. The court ruled 6-3 in the UNC case and 6-2 in the Harvard case. Considered at the moment as most contentious issues in U.S. education, U.S. President Joe Biden strongly disagreed with this much-anticipated decision. The president promised this cannot be the last words on the matter, urging universities to be still open to diversities. U.S. justices sided with an organization called Students for Fair Admissions, founded by a legal activist Edward Blum, where they believe Harvard's policy violated Title VI of 1864 Civil Rights Act, which bars discrimination based on race, color, and national origin. According to Mr. Blum, he called it the beginning of restoration of the colorblind legal covenant that binds together multiracial, multi-ethnic nation. In an interview, the decisions seek to eliminate racist, if possible, and that the major impact would be less diverse and more white. It would also impact professions, colleges, and other gateways to professions. And that is according to Professor Justin Hansford, law professor at Howard University. The decision resulted severe disappointments everywhere. Meanwhile, 9 states in the U.S. already banned affirmative action, where a drop of black students were already seen. It is also said employers will now also rethink the way they hire employees. The affirmative action, also known as positive action, first became policy in 1960s as a measure to increase diversity. Historically and internationally, this has sought to achieve bridging inequalities in employment and pay, increasing access to education, and promoting diversity. Maven Carrizo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
In a significant development, the World Bank has granted approval for $700 billion in funding to support Sri Lanka. This funding represents the largest portion of financial assistance since the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, agreement in March this year. Out of the approved amount, $500 billion will be allocated for the budget support, while the remaining $200 million will be dedicated to welfare assistance. Faris Haddad Servus, the World Bank's country director for Sri Lanka, emphasized the institution's strategy of implementing a phased approach that prioritizes early economic stabilization, structural reforms, and safeguarding the well-being of the vulnerable and the impoverished in sections of society. Servus also highlighted that the island nation is set to introduce the domestic debt restructuring program this week, with the primary objective of propelling the process of the renegotiating the country's debt with the bondholders and bilateral creditors, including China, Japan, and India. Sri Lanka's financial turmoil, which led to its first ever foreign debt default last year, is considered the most severe since gaining independence from British colonial rule in 1948. In March, the IMF authorized a bailout package of nearly $3 billion, and Sri Lanka anticipates additional funding of up to $4 billion from the World Bank, the Asian Development Bank, and other multilateral organizations. After nearly 20 years of setbacks, Virgin Galactic has finally launched its commercial space flight service. Monica Canlas tells us why.
Virgin Galactic's first commercial flight, Galactic 01, has successfully completed its spaceflight mission yesterday, June 29. The spaceship Unity was attached to the mothership Eve to take off from a runway, just like a commercial aircraft, for a smooth and comfortable ascent, until it reached the designated launch point where the mothership released the spaceship. The rocket motor ignites, then begin the rapid ascent to the space. The flight took off at 8:30 a.m. Mountain Time from the Spaceport America in New Mexico. The flight carried 3-person crew from the Italian Air Force and National Research Council of Italy to space for their research mission Virtue 1. The 19-minute flight was intended to conduct a series of suborbital science experiments, including 13 human-tended and autonomous experiments, and collects data by wearing a smart suit that measures biometric data and physiological responses. In a press conference, Virtue 1 Mission Commander Colonel Walter Villades said the added benefit of the experience was not only to try the payloads they have developed, but to try how the new platform provide a gap filler, as flying a microgravity can either be 20 to 30 seconds parabolic flight or fly to the International Space Stations for 6 months. Virgin Galactic is an aerospace and space travel company, pioneering human spaceflight for private individuals and researchers that sold 800 tickets with fees between $250,000 to $450,000 per seat. The company plans to build a large fleet to facilitate 400 flights a year. Monica Canlas, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I'm Kathy Navarro, live from Vietnam. Good evening.
The Philippine Nurses Association cited that compensation and poor work conditions in the country are among the main reasons why nurses decide to work abroad. JP Nunez will tell us why.
The Philippine Nurses Association says that in every hospital in the country, one nurse caters to at least 20 to 30 patients, far from the standard ratio of the 1 nurse to 8 patients. As a result, nurses in the country complain about their compensation and poor working conditions, which leads them to leave their jobs and work abroad. Nemia Genilia, a registered nurse in Cebu, shares that she took the chance to work abroad for better opportunities. In her years of service in the Philippines, her workload was too heavy, and she couldn't afford to get health or life insurance due to the low salary.
The pay here sa US is di hamak na mas malaki kesa sa Philippines. What's frustrating about my case sa Philippines is I don't even have health insurance and life insurance because hindi ko na ma-afford. And dito po, kahit pa paano, we can allocate, some amount for those purposes. So there is a very big opportunity for me for career advancement here. Like my employer, they have sponsorships, they offer scholarships for postgraduate studies and for taking specialties. And that is something that I'm really excited about.
According to Melvin Miranda of the Philippine Nurses Association, the plan of the Health Department to create a Nursing Advisory Council and appoint a Chief Nursing Officer would greatly help address the issues faced by nurses in the country.
In this regard, mas makikita natin na mas matutugunan yung pag-analyze at pagbibigay ng rekomendasyon based from the evidences of this data-driven. In this situation, mas magiging substantial yung may recommend for the when it comes to this process. Halimbawa, on the compensations and benefits.
Health Secretary Ted Herbosa, for his part, states that he will do his best to keep the nurses in the country.
If nurses need to be paid, they should be paid. And the other thing is, I don't want them to leave the Philippines because we need them for the programs that the Department of Health will deliver. If I want good health services.
JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Our kasangbahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the various challenges and uncertainties, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity.
Good day. I'm Brother Eli Soriano of the members of the Church of God International. I want to invite you to join us in a minute of prayer every day to pray for humanity and the whole world as we go through these perilous times. While safety measures like washing of hands and strengthening of our immune systems may help us through this horrible predicament, there is still no precaution or cure more powerful than God's mighty intervention. And we need His intervention now more than ever. It doesn't matter what religion you are in or what denomination you belong. This is an invitation for all the people around the world who cares for the future of their family, friends, loved ones, and humanity as a whole. Everybody is welcome to pray with us. For more details, you can check out the description box below. Thank you very much, and I hope to hear from you soon. May God bless you.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God from the book of 2 Corinthians. It says, "And God is able to make all grace abound toward you, that ye always having all sufficiency in all things may abound to every good work." those are the reasons behind the news, June 30, 2023. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.